Robin Cousins is fond of saying that there was no better diamond polisher than Carlo Fassi. And in the 1980s, Fassi once again uncovered jewels that truly sparkled. Carlo and Krista Fassi guided two men to Olympic glory, but their legend was built upon their unparalleled ability to transform young girls into the leading ladies of the sport. In the 60s, it was Peggy Fleming. In the 70s, it was Dorothy Hamill. And in the 80s, it was Jill Trenery and Karen Kadavy. Trenery and Kadavy joined the Fassis in Colorado Springs in 1984, and Carlo and Krista identified what each needed most. Carlo spotted Kadavy at a sectional competition. She had never skated at the Nationals, but Fassi saw the raw ingredients of a champion. The task was to turn Karen into a believer.
There, up, stand it, up. Good.
He invited Karen to come to the Broadmoor after he had seen her at the Midwestern Championships, and he said, this girl is wonderful, but she didn't perform well. And he said, it's impossible that a good skater like this will not one day perform well.
It's amazing when you think about it. When I think back then, you know, how far I've come and how much he believed in my skating.
Many who skated under Carlo and Krista became part of the Fassi family. That was very much the case with Jill Trenery.
Jill really needed to have a mother figure, and she took me really as her mother figure, and we got along wonderfully. She was like a second daughter to me. And Jill was a rebel, so sometimes she wouldn't get along with Carlo too well, and then I would take over.
Trenery developed into a three-time national champion, a 1988 Olympian, and the 1990 world champion, while Kadavy medaled at nationals for 4 consecutive years and was a 1987 world bronze medalist. Each was a Fassi masterpiece, skaters who excelled at far more than triple jumps and brought both athleticism and artistry to the ice.
I felt he brought out the whole combination of putting my figures, my freestyle, the artistic, the technical together, and he trained it to the ultimate. I mean, I feel that that's what he did for me.
Carlo Fassi knew how to package a complete skater and would tell the world how good that package was.
He had great people skills. He was a great politician. There's no one ever has been the politician that Carlo Fassi was.
He was in the bloodline of figure skating, whether it be through his kids' training, through the parents knowing how much their kids are doing, to the judges knowing how good his kids have been skating the past 3 years, to telling a judge that he didn't agree with the result of a competition. I don't think Carlo ever said anything to anybody that he didn't have a valid reason for saying.
After Trenery captured the world title in 1990, the Fassis faced a difficult decision. He received an offer to return to the rink of his youth and nurture the Italian national team, and with his mother in failing health in Milan, the decision was made to return home.
To go back to Italy and leave the Broadmoor was a very tough decision. Partially it was because we knew that they were going to tear down the Broadmoor. The other reason was that Carlo's mother, he's an only child, he was an only child, and his mother was very ill, and so he wanted to be closer to her.
Trenery was the hardest hit.
She was devastated. She had no idea that that was going to happen. And yes, it was hard.
And there was another amazing talent that the Fassis left behind, one who brought a sparkle to Carlo's eyes. Nicole Bobek was first coached by Fassi at the age of 10. He was the father figure that Nicole had longed for, and they were together when she dazzled the crowd at the 1990 Olympic Festival. Bobek followed Fassi to Milan, but returned after a few months. Little did they know then that their paths would cross again. When we return, the final chapter in Carlo Fassi's life, and one of the potential stars he touched, Cristiana Lo Priore.